Hello, everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of Director on Director. And man, I'm excited. We've got a special guest today, a really great way to start the show back up. The man who's been putting it down since 2001, a man who's really got me into this. Unfortunately for all of you, he inspired me to direct. He's a personal hero, the king of the underground. Everybody, welcome Fred Vogel.
What's happening, everybody? Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Definitely, man. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful.
That's good. That's good, man. I've been looking forward to this. I've known you for a while. I met you at a convention at Days of the Dead in Atlanta.
Yep.
Can't even remember the year, but I remember I fell in love with underground movies that year because of a special screening. I actually got to sit with you and we watched Red Sun Tower.
Yeah.
And then it was followed by Scrapbook, which ruined me. And everyone else walked out of that movie. And then around 2 a.m., I started watching The Bunny Game and just stumbled out of that theater by myself, just shattered, not knowing movies could be like this. And I met Shelby at this point. And she's just like, dude, you need to sit down. So it was great, man. And you were a very nice guy that, inspired me to make movies because you told me just get out there and do it. And I started, not made anything great, but
I'm so proud of you. Like look at that. Hey. You know what I mean? Like that's what this is all about. It's all about inspiring the next generation. And I'm sure you're doing the same. You know what I mean? So people are seeing, what you're doing and just wanting to get involved. And I'm so glad that you got to watch those 3 movies, especially, the Red Sun Tower, Scrapbook, and The Bunny Game, which are all very different, but they all play in the same sandbox in the underground world. And, 3 great movies to kind of inspire you for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And so there is a difference that I've learned with doing these indie movies and everything, because a lot of people get in filmmaking because, they like Marvel, they like a lot of these big things, but there is this raw factor whenever you're doing these movies, and you especially. A lot of people are going to know you from August Underground, Mortem, Penance, all this, Red Sun Tower. But something that I've loved about you, and especially when we really get into it on your new movie, The Final Interview, man, you are a storyteller. Like, you really get into this, the bones of it. I love my favorite movie before Final Interview came out. I do love this one. But my favorite one you did was Celaturcica.
Yeah.
But what is the difference for you whenever you're doing stuff, this extreme, August Underground, the torture and all this, to this heartfelt story, get Celaturcica, get Final Interview, to where, you could make me cry in these movies?
It's all a growing process. And I kind of look at it, when I made August Underground, as a 24-year-old kid. I was just coming out of teaching at the Tom Savini Makeup School, so special effects was just like so important to me. And I knew that when I wanted to make my first movie, I wanted special effects to really be the showcase. And the more films that I've done, the more I've realized that, special effects is just a great tool, but the most important tool in filmmaking is great storytelling and a great script. So I just kept trying to learn and up the ante in my work and grow from every movie. So like, Celaturcica, that was like the first time, I really wanted to try to bring a drama element into my movies, just to see if I can do it. And once I realized that I could do it, I knew that I could take it a step further. And that's where like, I kind of went into this little bit of a hiatus where I was trying to get one of my passion projects, Pittsburgh Body Removal, together. And when that fell through, the Final Interview was born from that. And, a lot of us independent filmmakers out there, we go through a lot of time trying to get projects made. Money, falls through, or actors fall through and things like that. And if you really want to keep doing what we're doing, you just kind of have to go through the trenches and come out on the other side. And like, I'm glad I did, because I didn't let, the money falling through for Pittsburgh Body Removal really, put me down and out. It kind of lit a fire under my ass to make The Final Interview. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was my first SAG movie. was having movie stars in my. I mean, I had Camille Keaton in Cella Turcica, which was
Yeah,
amazing, and she was the perfect ingredient to add to the toe tag, you know, to the toe tag movies in the toe tag family because she's such an iconic um, exploitation actress, horror actress. But when it came to the final interview, I really wanted to change that, and I wanted to bring in actors who just had the chops. And Granger Hines, who plays Oliver Ross, was that guy. And of course,
amazing.
Diane Franklin, because the movie takes place in the 80s, and I wanted to have a very important 80s icon in the film. And it's so easy to grab from my horror resources actor wise. I thought Diane Franklin was, yes, she played in the horror world, but she was definitely more iconic as an 80s icon. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
I agree.
it was definitely this on my end, the smarter choice to have her. And boy, was I happy because I could, Diane Franklin is so important to me. The Last American Virgin is one of my favorite movies. I mean, the Redson Tower, there's a big ingredient of the Last American Virgin in that unhappy ending, which I love, and that's all inspired by the Last American Virgin.
Yeah. And man, look, I'm very happy you got it because Diane Keaton, like I've been following her since you done the movie. I was so shocked. I was like, oh wow, you're right. That's a legend.
Yeah.
And man, she's gotten so much more active in film again. And I singularly say since I started watching the final interview, because now she's doing more cons, she's getting out there. I've seen her do some other movies, and
Yeah.
it's cool how that worked together for both of you. And
No, for sure.
she did great in it too. I really did love her. It was something that she deserved to have a part that was kind of meaty like that. It
Yeah,
was
she
emotional.
loved it. Yeah, and like when I sent her the script, she said to me, she's like, "I've never done anything like this before." So, and that's like, as a director, that's what you want. You want to like, actors can do anything, right? So why not give them something that is something different for them to chew on? Because they don't want to play the same thing. Nobody wants to be typecast. I didn't want to be typecast as the guy that makes the snuff movies.
Yeah.
It just so happened that I happen to make a movie at a moment in time that hit a chord in the genre. And I could be making snuff movies right now, fake snuff movies right now,
Yeah.
and make more money, but it's never been about that. It's always been about my art and telling great stories, because I am a cinephile. I love movies, all kinds, every genre. And I think that's where, like, my path as a filmmaker is different than a lot of other filmmakers. I just want to make the best movies I can and tell the best stories that I can.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because when you see a lot of these indie filmmakers, the one thing I think I say in every episode I do of this is, man, I'm sick and tired of seeing people film their friends in the woods, because it's the same story. A lot of snuff films are very popular now. When you did it, I've seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. That's a Maniac, about the only things I'd really seen.
Yeah.
But it is nice seeing it, because these scripts, I actually have a degree in English, and that's what really pushed me into saying, like, oh, let's make a movie. Because like I had no desire to be a director, no desire to act, just kind of fell into it, because once you start writing the story, you're like, well, this is my baby, who's going to take it?
Yeah.
But these stories of yours have evolved, and it's so refreshing to see that, because a lot of people, they don't evolve, but it's fine. You get your art out there, as you said. With the final interview, one of my favorite things about it, and the reason I love it so much, is it looks like a stage play, man. When you get on it, like, there's very static sets, and I mean, the sets are beautiful. Like, I know you actually used a prison up there in Pittsburgh, but it does. I mean, it looks like watching the Kenneth Branagh film from the 80s and the early 90s, to where it's like, he's just chewing the scenery, getting in there. The lights are there to where it looks like how to explain it? It doesn't look like it's filmed in the 80s, because it's very clear. It's one of the prettiest pictures out there, but it does. The costumes are authentic, the actors are authentic, and it reminds me of those, specials that you would see, to where you would just have this kind of sleazy guy come up and start talking to you about something. So
it was very important for me, because it does take place in the 80s. And when we're making these movies on these limited budgets, you have to really put that money into selling the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So the prison was, that was one of the last things we got. I literally had my production designer building like prison windows that we would kind of like shoot through.
Mhm.
I didn't think I can get a prison,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, how the hell do I get a prison?
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelby Vogel. you know, um, but I knew, like, everything from the production design to the set dressing and everything like that. Key elements, having the green telephone instead of a black one,
Mhm.
there's key pieces of the set that was just like, all right, if I have these key pieces in here, it's going to give that authentic look. This was the first time I really hired a costume designer as well.
Mhm.
And for Oliver's suit, I needed it to be a certain look. I wanted it those mute colors of the late 70s, early 80s, because
Yep.
again, Oliver was at his height in the 70s.
Mhm.
Now that it's the 80s, he's a little thinner, so the suit was like one size too big. There was all these little things that just kind of showed that he's still wearing the same suit that he wore 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the taxi cab,
Yeah.
instead of using regular, we at first we wanted to try to find some big Lincoln Continental from the 70s and stuff like that. But when I was able to get the taxi cab, I was like, wow, this is so much better. It's so much more authentic. When you see a cab like that, that it's dead.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there were certain elements to that really brought the movie to life, and the costuming and everything like that was just in the even like seeing the cameras that they use.
Mhm.
I was so lucky to find those cameras and the monitors and everything that was period accurate. If it wasn't, it just wouldn't work. And I feel like in all of my films, that's definitely one of the key components of what I always try to do is give that realism. And like
Mhm.
once I take you out of that realism, you're not in there.
Yeah.
August Underground looks real because it shot to look real.
Yeah.
Everything. Same thing with the Resin Tower. Even though there's supernatural stuff going on with it, there's very real stuff going on in there. It's the way people
Mhm.
talk, the way people act, from the sets and everything. So it's very important to have that real element. And I make these, even though they're in my world, the Fred Vogel world or toe tag world or whatever. It's still, I still like having that realism in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, man. That's it's an undertaking you did, because the one thing I get is you'll have a ton of people that are wanting to do. A lot of filmmakers come up to me and be like, "Hey, I like the flashy '80s, the neons, and all that. I want to do an '80s movie." First thing I always say is, "Oh, don't. You're not going to be able to, because the attention to detail is what makes it." And you hit every note of that. Something else you do that I absolutely love, because most indie films have the soundtrack that's the same soundtrack in every movie, which is metal. It's just metal. And you're one of the few people, and you've been doing this for a while, that you're not necessarily going to put metal in a movie if it doesn't fit the movie. Red Sin Tower, those kids are rockers, man. They're not listening to metal. They're listening to kind of pop rock. This one has one of the coolest soundtracks, and didn't catch it the first time. That's all original music. You actually had
Absolutely.
bands and everything for that track. How'd that go?
Man, I ended up meeting a gentleman named Paul Joyce, who worked with Jason Cook, who did The Seventh Day. We did a film festival. We did a film festival together out in Syracuse, and I really liked the music that he did for that. So when we first started talking, I told him, "Hey, my next movie I'm doing is going to take place in the '80s." And he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I'd love to tackle that. I really want to work with you." And I'm like, "Oh, I really want to work with you." So we kind of like planted the seed. And when we started shooting the movie and I was getting ready to, start getting the music together with Paul sent me some really great 80s music, synth, again, it's when you hear the 80s, you're already putting a stamp on like what it is.
Yeah.
And as great as his music was, and as great as it sound very 80s, it was completely wrong, because the final interview is leftover 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's still it's not, it hasn't hit 84 MTV. It hasn't hit 85, I mean, it hasn't hit the where you really would hear that like Tangerine Dream synthy kind of music that you would hear in a lot of those 80s films. You're
Mm-hmm.
still getting that leftover 70s big score. And Paul was just the right guy. And as soon as I was able to send him some footage of the movie, he got it.
Yeah.
Because again, like his music was so good, it's like, oh man, like what, and that's hard when you have somebody working on your movie, and again, we don't pay a lot because it's the independent world, and
Of course.
you take what you can get, right?
Yeah.
But Paul wasn't like that. Paul was, Paul wanted to do the best that he can do, and I think this is his best score he's ever done. It's primal.
Mm.
It's Oliver Ross's theme song sounds like something, it's very masculine. Like each piece of music sets the tone for each scene. The music over like the Macon Delta speech where Oliver's telling about the war and,
Yeah.
and his experiences, and I mean it's just so powerful and moving. And it's definitely, the final interview uses a film score to its fullest advantage, more than I've ever done in any of my other movies.
Yeah.
Like Sella Turcica, the film score on that is how that was created was created off of one giant score, and then throughout the movie we would take away an element. Okay, we take away the drum beat, and then we would take away the bass beat, and then we would take away. So we would just kind of like lift from this one giant piece of music to make this score, where Paul created each piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
Using real musicians, and it just wasn't done on a computer, like a lot of independent movies are. It's just like a dude on a computer using like Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Paul didn't want to do that, and I'm so glad that he did the way that he did, because the music is so powerful. That's why I wanted to include it into the special edition that you have.
Yep, man, this special edition, this is something else. I don't it's amazing. One thing I hate about getting special editions and everything from the indie world is usually you'll start getting a lot of stuff you don't know what to do with. Beelzebub back in the day, when he did Dick Shark, was giving away the actual 6-foot foam rubber shark with a dildo on it, and I'm like, dude, what the hell would I do with this? Is it just going to hang in my living room? But you've got all these cool little things in this that fit neatly in the DVD or the Blu-ray, sorry. And I love it. It's so pretty. It's really, very nice looking, very good artwork and all this stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing you did. But what have you learned? So getting into the kind of more of the nitty gritty of filmmaking, when you're filmmaking at this level, at least, you don't get the the luxury of just being a director, just being a writer, just being a makeup artist. You've got to make the business. You've got to come up with stuff to give to the fans. I mean, you're really known for the signed hammer. That's always a cool thing to see. But where did you learn the business aspect of this and really, getting out to people, like this grassroots movement?
Yeah. So, when I made August Underground, there wasn't many people who wanted it, and I wanted it to get out there. And I am a huge lover of professional wrestling, and this, what the WWE has been doing, and of course Kiss. So there's a lot of like marketing and the Misfits. There's a lot of DIY to that, and putting out your own stuff and creating stuff for the collector. I'm a collector, so I wanted to make stuff that was just cool. Conventions were really just starting to start, not starting, but they were in the infancy, almost in the infancy. There's in the 80s, there was the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, the Chiller Theater, but it wasn't like it is now, where there's conventions every weekend.
Yeah.
And I just thought it'd be really cool if, people were getting autographed copies of, like a special edition, and I can get the cast to sign them, or a mini poster with them, or what be in like what we did with the final interview with having some of my friends like Paul Naylor create that amazing artwork,
Mhm.
and just being able to keep it contained
Yeah.
instead of, like you said, instead of having a big giant fucking shark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want it to be contained so it can fit in there, and when you want to see it, you can open it up. If you want to take the cards and mount them and put them in a frame, you can do that too. Um, but man, I always love the fact of doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And even like the Misfits would do colored vinyl, and it was very limited. And like that's what I wanted. I knew Toe Tag was never going to be in Walmart. The August Underground is never going to be on the shelves in Target.
Yeah.
So why not keep it cult, and why not keep it special for the fans? Honestly, like when you have a piece of my movie history, it's worth something.
Mm.
And like I see it all the time, and I'm sure you see it too on the social media or whatever. Like, my car broke down and I have no money, but here I am. Unfortunately, I have to sell my August Underground Snuff Edition.
Yeah.
And they're able to get that money, and that's awesome. Like I don't, as much as I'd love $300 for the movie or something like that. If it can help somebody out because of the rarity of it, hey man, like do what you got to do to survive. And I'm glad that my movies have that that staying power. I mean, 20 man, been doing this 20 years, and to still be relevant and continue making movies as hard as it is for us.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be able to do it.
Yeah. That's always that's one of those baffling things to me. Like I've seen that. I watched all the time when I see August Underground go up there, Redstone Towers, and I'm like, $300. Wow, that's cool, man. And it's something that makes no sense to me, because when you're making these movies, I know I recently put my found footage film Room for Rent on YouTube because I didn't know what else to do with it. And I'm like, I'm just gonna put it there for free. Man, I got 50,000 views. Wow. And I'm like, that's awesome. This is so cool. I never expected this. And I don't know what to do with that, though. I'm like, all right, that's great. I have these views, the same as when you see these movies going for 300. You're like, whoa, that's a lot of money for one DVD, one Blu-ray. Doesn't really mean anything, but that's cool. And it's a really hard industry to be in when you're doing it yourself, because you don't get all those test screenings, you don't get all the test marketing. So it's one of those things that really it picks up the cult afterwards. And Evil Dead did it, but they succeeded. I think you succeeded really well, because I can go into the few video stores left and they're going to know of Fred Vogel. That's where I actually first found you, was at a Videodrome in Atlanta. They had August Underground. And I was like, what the hell is this? And
I came at a moment in time where people were still reading magazines. There were still video stores. Now everything is just online.
Yeah.
And things are a little different. Like the mass reach in the early stages of the internet. You know what I mean? In 2000, 2001, got to remember the internet was still its infant.
That's true.
So like when people just started reading about August Underground and finding out about me, it was just really starting to spread. And I'm a firm believer that the talent of the movie, how good the movie is and how it still holds up. Like, nowadays we're so used to seeing shaky found footage, handheld looking stuff, where back then it really, there was the Blair Witch Project and me.
Yeah.
It's funny because there's a documentary on Shudder right now talking about the found footage movement, and they gave a little shout out to, August Underground.
I've checked that out. I haven't watched it yet. So
yeah, but it's funny because like there's a lot of different found footage movies that came out and they kind of speak about. It's just that those are safe.
Yeah.
August Underground is not safe.
Not at all.
And as important as August Underground is, it's still that dirty little secret, and people are still afraid of it and don't want to give it the praise that it does. And the praise really comes from the fans and the scene. But you can't knock the power and the realism of that found footage. You know what I mean? Like I think it's more realistic than the Blair Witch Project. You know what I mean? But it's a different story. But like what makes the August Underground movies work is that it looks real. Like there's nothing in it that looks fake, even though it was all choreographed and all made like a movie. It just, if it didn't look real, it wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I do a lot for August Underground is it'll come up occasionally in some like found footage groups that I'm always friends with because that's how I got my views. But they're always like, "Oh, this isn't really realistic. This is just snuff. It's just gore." And I'm like, "You didn't watch the movie, did you? Because the characters in it are so real. Like I grew up in a trailer park, in the south side of Georgia, and that was 2000, around the same time. And I'm telling you, man, you hit these characters perfectly. Going into a gas station and just fucking around and being assholes. It was something that I'd never seen that before, but that's what my friends did. They were jackasses. And if they had been a little bit more crazy, I could have seen that. There were people in my neighborhood I wouldn't hang out with because I'm like, I bet you, cut tails off kittens, man. That's what you look like to me. And these guys weren't doing anything that seemed weird to me. So it was a really cool idea with that. You captured that time period, which now going back and looking at it is like, whoa, this is a time capsule, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool with that. What about and I gotta do this because I've been waiting the entire show. Your fans are rabid for you, man. They've always loved you. I'm a bit of a fan too.
Yes.
Gotta have the toe tag right there. But what was it like getting your fan base and everything? And the first people that really helped you out. I know Superfan Rob, as I've always heard him called. I love that guy. I saw his name in Final Interview.
Yeah.
What was it like getting these and seeing the first person to get ink of you, man?
Superfan Rob was the first person to get me tattooed on him, and it was crazy because to see the power of the movie was just exciting, but to see it like affect somebody where how Frankenstein affected me, and I have my monster tattoos on me, to where my art can affect somebody so much that they just want to brand themselves with it, was just so humbling and amazing. And Rob was one of those guys where, I was like, wow, like this guy is super into it. He really understands the movie. Like he got it. And just like the reason why you have that too is because you get it. Yep. And the reason why everybody else who has my face tattooed on them or toe tag or whatever is because they get it. And the only, when you get it, when you watch a movie and it is so impactful and it hits a chord, like how Frankenstein did it for me, or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or whatever. It becomes an extension of yourself, that helps inspire you. Like I see the monsters on my arm, and it knows, and I'll always remember that I am a monster maker. I love horror, and this is what I love. And when it came to Superfan Rob, I put him in August Underground's Penance. Yep. I put him, then like when we did the re-release of the DVD, I put him on the cover. And then when the Final Interview came around, he wanted to put money towards the movie. So he became an associate producer. Everybody in the way that we treated our fans became kind of like extensions of our family. And when I met you, Richard, you know what I mean? I wasn't like, I'm Fred Vogel, I'm too cool to talk to you or whatever. That's just not the way we are. Myself, Shelby, Jeremy, as toe tag. We've always been about our fans and nurturing our fans because you never know. Like we never know that one minute you're sitting in, a screening room at a convention. The next thing you know, you're, making your own films and doing your own podcasts and doing all the stuff. So it's great to see how the art can inspire, and it just means a lot. When I saw your tattoo, it really means a lot, and I'm just so thankful and grateful that my art is powerful enough to provoke. And as much as people might shit on me, you know what I mean? Again, like when you're an artist, and I tell this to a lot of filmmakers because it can be really hard when you create something and you put it out there and people just automatically shit on it. You deal with jealousy. You can lose friends. You can lose people in your life who were there at one moment and now are gone because they're seeing you succeed, or they're seeing other people start to enjoy your work. And it's crazy. But you just, us as filmmakers and as people, we just gotta have to keep our feet on the ground, keep moving forward, keep giving the fans and our friends and our family everything, that passion that keeps us running. So I'm just so thankful that I have the best fucking fans on the planet. And I'm sure every artist says that about their fans, and they're absolutely right. I'm sure
Yeah.
you say that about yours, because you know what? Like, we'd be nothing without you or anybody that supports our work and understands our visions and understands our films, because art is an interpretation.
Mhm.
That's why some people are like, man, August Underground is, I can make a better movie on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, one, fucking do it.
Yeah,
Two,
please.
you know, do you got your face tattooed on somebody? No, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'll take the win on that.
Yeah. It's a filmmaking is that weird kind of art to me because I've written a lot, I've done books, I've done all this stuff, and that's such an isolated thing. You put it out there, you don't deal with it. Movies, I wouldn't make movies if I didn't think people were going to watch it. I would do other art, like movies is something that's a very communal thing, and the
Yeah,
fans are very important with it, man, because it again, you make the movie for yourself. But again, I'm not going to sit there and watch my own movies over and over and over again. After I make it, I'm like, I want to show other people this movie.
yeah.
Um, so we're kind of nearing the end here, but I do want to ask a question for you because this is very important to me because, they say don't meet your heroes. I met you. You're a wonderful guy. You inspired me to make movies. Let's inspire some other people, man. What's some advice you would give? Because I'm going to assume most people that are watching this probably have either some foot in the filmmaking industry or at least love horror and kind of curious about it. What would you tell people wanting to make movies?
Just like I told you, do it. Don't be afraid to get a camera or your cell phone or whatever and shoot little movies. Practice, 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 practice your storytelling, practice special effects. Um, Try to find people who you like to work with and who believe in the art that you're trying to create, because it's really easy in filmmaking or any kind of art medium. One bad apple can spoil that bunch.
Oh,
And
definitely.
you could be so dedicated and so into making your movie, but if there's somebody that is in your circle and they are bringing you down, it is like a weight that you can't shake.
Yeah.
It's better to find that kind of to get rid of those people right away, because you really need to have positive people around you. You need to have hardworking people that want to get this movie done. And there's a lot of people who want to make movies and want to get into the business. So you just got, it's just reach out and connect with people. And right now we live in a world with the technology where we can reach out with people and get people from different states to, oh man, I really want to come help you. I'll travel the 300 miles. Just let me sleep on the floor or
Yeah.
whatever. And that really right there will help build your foundation. And, just like a house or anything, like you need to have a strong foundation. That's why I believe I succeeded as a filmmaker, is because I built a foundation of people in my life that I love to work with and I continue to work with. And those people help hold me up, hold the movies up. And that's really what you need, is you just need a really great foundation. It takes time to find those people, but when you
Yep.
do, magic.
That's wonderful. I like that a lot, man. So the final interview is out now. It
Mhm.
is absolutely wonderful. We could talk about this for days to me, man. Like the acting, the music, the costumes, everything is beautiful. You guys need to watch it. Even if you're, like going, I just want to see some extreme shit. Trust me, man, it doesn't disappoint even in that.
Oh,
Just
it's
the
just
first
different.
line.
It's just
It's
different.
it's a final interview. Someone's definitely going to die tonight.
Yeah.
So where can they be able to find you, man? What's some stuff they can buy? Where can they give me some links, which will
Sure,
also be
sure.
in the description?
You can get the final interview at www.thefinalinterviewmovie.com. Unfortunately, that's the not unfortunately, but that's the only movie I have available right now. All the toe tag movies are unavailable right now, um, which is which is interesting, because it seems like they just keep finding more and more people right now. So everybody's going to have to wait a little bit until we can figure out what the next step that we want to do with that. Toe tag is myself, Jeremy, and Shelby. We're so busy with our day jobs working in the film industry. Jeremy works out in the film industry in Los Angeles. I work in the film industry here in Pittsburgh, and Shelby, works as a manager in a restaurant. And it's just life is, you got to keep that roof over your head. But if you can pick up the final interview. It's a pricey. It's a little bit pricey. It's $50, but it's really worth it. And if $50 is too much for you, you can always do the digital download for $10. And then if you like the movie, if you get the digital download for $10, I'll take off that $10 if you buy the movie later on. So it'll be only $40.
Hey, that's a deal, guys. Because it is. I mean, like, look, you can see just on the side of it. That's thick. This is like an Arrow video.
Yeah, it's the Criterion case.
It is. It's the Criterion case.
It's the Criterion case.
It's nice for a collector. But guys, this has been one of those dream interviews for me. I've always wanted to do it, just never had the chance. And so it's been really great for me, Fred. Thank you so much for joining me, man. And guys, look up the links below. Tune in next time. We'll always have more interviews. And thank you so much for joining Director on Director.
Thank you.
Later, guys.